Hello and welcome to Rambling Runner Reviews, and today we are going to be talking about the Nike Pegasus Trail 3. So this shoe was very interesting. This is one I was excited to get. Just by picking this shoe up, you can tell there are certain things about it that ultimately may work and what may not work for you. It really does come across right away as something that is a very interesting shoe, and I just can't wait to talk about it. First, let me say that I did buy this with my own money, and I am under no obligation to say anything about this shoe that I don't already believe, nor is anyone going to be watching this video before you do, or I should say before I publish it. There certainly might be people who watch this before you do, but it won't be anybody who has any influence about what is being said about this shoe in particular. So let's talk about it. So this is a trail shoe that can be used for more than that and can be used for less than that. So we'll get into exactly what I mean by that. But first, let's talk about fit. This upper is absolutely fantastic. I mean, holy cow. I mean, this, as you'll tell in this shoe review, there's huge highs and some lows, and one of the biggest highs is this upper. I'm a size 10.5. I got a size 10.5. It fit true to size. It was perfect. It's super soft. You can see some of the elements in here. It's nice light padding on the interior all the way through, and it's one of those shoes that is able to create a plush feeling without an overabundance of padding. In addition to that, it just fits so nicely. The midfoot is great. With some Nike shoes, you will notice that they kind of really get streamlined. The arch can be high. They're just not a perfect fit for everybody. I found this shoe to be incredibly accommodating. And I say that as someone who has struggled with Nike shoes in the past. This shoe was fantastic in terms of how it fit. Ample forefoot toe space, which I personally don't need, but I can see a lot of people loving the toe space in this shoe, especially if you're going for really long distances where your foot may ultimately expand a little bit over time, just with the length of the effort, which we see a lot in some trail and ultra community members, that this will definitely be able to accommodate that. I really cinched it up pretty good. You can see here, right here on the toe, that's pretty much how I wear it. So it does cinch up pretty good, but even with that cinching, it doesn't create a hot spot, which is really nice. From a size and specs perspective, that's where things get a little sticky with this shoe. Okay, so it's heavy. Okay, it's 11.3 ounces for a men's size 9. I could not get an accurate reading on the women's size, but needless to say, it's a heavier shoe. Now, when you have a heavier shoe for trail shoes, usually there are certain things that come along with that. Okay, so you expect a shoe that can really take on a whole variety of terrain, right? Something that's going to grip, have heavy grip, which you can see, obviously it's trail shoes, going to have a full rubber outsole, and we'll talk about the outsole in a second. Maybe even a rock plate in there, as well as it being really sturdy. And again, the upper is really good. I'm just a huge fan of this upper. The midsole is, it's heavy, but it's super cushiony, but there is no rock plate in here. So it gets down to the point, and we'll talk about this for uses, where I'm not sure why we have an 11.3 ounce trail shoe that doesn't have a rock plate and doesn't have adequate grip. Because all of a sudden, you're talking about, when am I actually going to use this shoe? What surfaces is this good for? And is this the best shoe for those kinds of surfaces? So let's get into continuity and how this shoe actually feels on foot. So it's a 10mm heel drop. I should have said that before. So you get a huge stack. So it's 36 to 26 in the men's size. I think it's a little bit less in the women's. So that's a huge stack. And the outsole, I mean, check this out. I mean, it is super cushiony. It's so nice, and you feel it right away. So this is a 10mm stack heel drop, I should say. And you notice it. So it's definitely one of those heel drops that you are very well aware of what the heel drop is. If you are a heel striker, you're going to fit right in. I'm more of a midfoot striker, and ultimately this was fine for me in part because of how I used it. I wasn't using this to go super fast. So it wasn't like the Nike Zoom X Invincible where I felt like the heel was impeding the way I wanted to hit the ground. This did not do that in any way, shape, or form, which was really nice. And I really appreciated that from this shoe. So from a continuity perspective, it really rolls well. I would forget that this shoe was on my foot. It would really work seamlessly when I used it in a variety of different situations. with that said, it wasn't great for all of them. So I guess we're gonna do a little bit different here. Usually I wait for uses in the second half, but you know, we're just gonna dive the whole thing in. So let's just dive into uses now, okay? This shoe, when I used it on very light trails, super buffed trails, or using them on dirt roads, this was a great shoe because the outsole was fine, okay? So if you look at this outsole, it pretty much resembles what you see in the lugs of like a mountain bike tire, okay? So the lug depth, they say is 4 millimeters, but it's kind of curved into it. It doesn't really bite. I've seen a lot of reviewers talk about just the kinds of rubber that Nike uses. And if you're in a dry climate, this rubber is gonna be fine. If you're going on trails that aren't super technical, this will be fine as well. But we'll get into that in a second. For dirt roads, this was great. I love this on longer dirt roads because the midsole is so squishy. So this is a Nike React foam, but this is definitely a compound. It's much more mushy and forgiving than the React than you would get in the, say, Nike Pegasus 38 or any other Pegasus for that matter, okay? So when I'm stepping over rocks, loose rocks on a dirt road or even on a buffed out trail, this React foam, and there's a lot of it, absorbs the rock perfectly and you just keep going. And you really don't even have to worry about the rocks being there, which was huge for me. And it just, again, you just let it ride and it was no big deal. And I loved it for those roads, okay? However, for the more technical training runs, and especially if it's wet. If it's wet, this shoe is a no-go, right? This rubber, and there's a lot of videos out there of people who are trying this out, they'll be on a rock, test out the traction, and they'll dump water on the rock, test out the traction. It doesn't go well. If you live, say, in the Pacific Northwest, I don't think this shoe is going to be for you. But if you're on a dry situation, this can be nice. From a technical trail perspective, it's just heavy. So it's 13.1 ounces, and there's no rock plate. And with you combine that with the squishy midsole, if you're on a technical spot with a lot of sharp rocks or root that can really kind of bite into your foot, this shoe's not really going to protect you, which is interesting because it's a huge stack and it's a lot of shoe. Not to have it be protective is an interesting choice for Nike. I'm surprised that there's no rock plate in here, frankly. I mean, if you're going to have a shoe this big, this kind of stack with this kind of weight, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, if you're going to have this kind of outsole, then maybe the rock plate is superfluous because you don't expect people to be on the kind of trails that would necessitate a rock plate. So what trails would you use this on? Well, I just kind of said it, right? So you can have the dirt roads, you can have the buffed out trails. Ultimately, when you're thinking about this shoe and about whether or not you're going to buy this shoe or even take this shoe out for a run once you do purchase it, you're probably not going to be saying, all right, should I use this trail shoe or a different trail shoe? Okay? Usually, you're going to be on the kind of surfaces where you would say, all right, am I going to use this trail shoe or this daily trainer? Because you're going to be going on roads that people run on with daily trainers all the time, right? There's plenty of people who are running on dirt roads or tow paths or buffed out trails with daily trainers all the time. Right? The first review we did on this channel was with the Puma Velocity Nitro, and the Puma grip was great for stuff like that. So why would I pick this? 13.1 ounces of this, again, a very comfortable shoe with foam that I really like and I would love in a road training shoe. Maybe a little bit less stack, but I love the bounciness of it. Why would I want 11.3 ounces of this if I can get a shoe for more than 2 ounces less weight that's going to give me kind of similar properties? Maybe not as forgiving over the rocks, maybe not quite as good of a grip, but similar. So I think this really pays off well if you're going to be on those roads a lot. So if you're going to be running on dirt roads and buffed out trails a lot, then maybe this would be a good fit. Because maybe that would just kind of eat into the daily trainer more than you would want, and it wouldn't have the durability that this shoe would have, okay? I should say this does have a nice little toe area as well, so if you do kick a rock or stone, it is going to protect you. Again, you're probably not going to be using it for trails like that, but it is there anyway. So you're going to be in situations where, all right, again, am I going to run in the Pegasus Trail 3 or just the Pegasus? And I think that's where this shoe can be modeled. So if you're going a ton of miles on those dirt roads or lightly buffed out trails, then this could be a really good fit. okay? Or if you're going for all day excursions on things like that, right? So you're gonna be out there for 3, 4, 5 hours, then this stack height really comes in nicely, right? Because this is, again, extremely cushioned. And that's a really nice thing. So if you're gonna be doing on one of those all day events, all day training runs where you're gonna be out in those areas where this is a good fit, and you're gonna be out there for hours, then this would be a good fit for that, all right? So a good long run shoe, if time on feet is the main thing that you're worried about, not necessarily speed, because this baby is not fast, but it is really, really comfy. So that's kind of where I fall on this shoe. I like certain elements of it so much. I love the upper. I love the midsole. Again, Nike, use this formulation of React in more road shoes. It'd be great. I mean, I'd be a huge fan of it, as opposed to the Pegasus Trail, sorry, instead of the Pegasus 38, which seems to have a much more firm version of the Nike React foam. I love the upper, like I said. I guess decide, are you gonna be a trail shoe for all trails? If so, do something about the upper. I'm sorry, do something about the outsole. If you're not going to be a trail shoe for all trails, well then make it a weight that would make it more competitive with daily trainers that have the kind of outsole that can also go all day on some of those surfaces. So I do like running in this shoe. I am a big fan of this shoe. It is not for all people or all cases. So just be prepared, have a good idea of how you're gonna run, where you're gonna run, and if this could be potentially a great fit for you. It's available everywhere. So that's the big thing here. So you don't have to special deliver this. If you don't want to, you don't have to go to an online retailer. A lot of shoe stores in and around your area probably have it. I got this at Dick's. So there you go. So you can just go try it out for yourself and see if it's a good fit. Thank you so much for listening and for watching this review of the Nike Pegasus Trail 3. If you haven't already done so, go press subscribe. Like the video, it really helps. I didn't say, it really does, but you know that, right? You watched these videos before, you know that it helps. Thank you so much for watching this and all the other videos on the Rambling Runner channel. Thank you so much and happy running.